June 6, 1944. Dawn breaks over the Normandy coast, a thin veil of mist clinging to the gray waters of the English Channel. The air carries the salty tang of the sea, mingled with the faint, acrid scent of gun oil from the concrete bunkers perched along the cliffs. In the dim light, a German sentry adjusts his binoculars, scanning the horizon where the first hints of sunrise paint the sky in muted crimson. Then, a low hum emerges, growing into a thunderous roar that vibrates through the earth, the unmistakable drone of countless engines churning across the waves. This moment marked the culmination of years of anticipation and fortification along Europe's western edge. The Atlantic Wall, a colossal chain of defenses stretching from Norway to Spain, stood as the Reich's bulwark against invasion. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, tasked with its reinforcement, had overseen the installation of millions of mines, thousands of pillboxes, and intricate beach obstacles designed to impale any approaching vessels. German High Command, convinced by intelligence reports and Allied deceptions, fixated on Pas-de-Calais as the likely landing site, where the channel narrowed to a mere 20 miles. Normandy, with its broader beaches and rougher seas, seemed an improbable choice. Yet, as the mist lifted that morning, the reality of Operation Overlord unfolded, an assault involving over 156,000 Allied troops in the first wave alone, supported by an armada unprecedented in human history. German officers and soldiers, hardened by years of conquest in Poland, France, and Russia, had been steeped in propaganda portraying America as a decadent, divided society, weakened by jazz music, racial strife, and material excess that bred softness rather than strength. They expected, if an invasion came, a tentative probe by weary British forces bolstered by untested American recruits, easily repelled by the superior will of the Aryan soldier. What they encountered instead shattered those illusions. As the horizon filled with shadows, Oberlieutenant Walter Amsen, commanding the Crispec Battery near Utah Beach, peered through his rangefinder and beheld a sea transformed into a floating metropolis. "I stood here and saw the impossible," he later reflected, "a sea covered with ships from horizon to horizon. I knew in that moment that everything I had been told was wrong. Weak nations don't build 7,000 ships. Divided nations don't coordinate such an invasion." The fleet numbered nearly 7,000 vessels in total, 1,213 warships, 4,126 landing craft, and hundreds of support ships, manned by 195,700 naval personnel from 8 Allied nations. Gefreiter Hinrich Severloh, manning a machine gun at Widerstands Nest 62 overlooking Omaha Beach, described it as ships everywhere. The horizon was gone. The landing craft, Higgins boats churned out by American factories at a rate of thousands per year, swarmed like insects, their flat bows slicing through the swells, disgorging waves of men onto the sands. The scale defied comprehension. German artillery opened fire, coastal batteries like Amsen's unleashing salvos that sank the USS Corrie and damaged others, but for every vessel struck, dozens more advanced unhindered. Official reports from Field Marshal Gerd von Rundstedt's headquarters noted the strong naval forces deployed off the shores of the bridgehead, providing quickly mobile, constantly available artillery that pounded defenses with precision. By midday, over 132,000 troops had landed, far exceeding the 50,000 German defenders in the immediate sector. The 352nd Infantry Division, positioned behind Omaha, reported initial successes in pinning down American forces, inflicting heavy casualties, over 2,000 killed or wounded on that beach alone, but the relentless influx overwhelmed them. General Erich Marks, commanding the 84th Corps, scrambled reserves, but Allied air supremacy, 11,590 aircraft flying 14,674 sorties on D-Day, strafed roads and railways, delaying reinforcements. The 21st Panzer Division, the only mobile reserve nearby, launched a counterattack near Caen, but was halted by British armor, its tanks silhouetted against the skyline and shredded by naval gunfire. Amid the chaos, a subtle emblem began to emerge in the minds of the beleaguered Germans, the humble chocolate bar tucked into the K-rations of captured American soldiers. As bunkers fell and positions were overrun, German troops rifled through abandoned packs, discovering these foil-wrapped treasures, Hershey bars, mass-produced in Pennsylvania factories churning out millions weekly. Unlike the ersatz cocoa of the Reich's rationed supplies, these were rich, sweet symbols of a land untouched by blockade, where abundance flowed from democratic ingenuity rather than authoritarian decree. One soldier from the 716th Static Division, upon tasting his first real chocolate in years, murmured in disbelief at the casual plenty, a stark contrast to the turnip bread and synthetic coffee sustaining the Wehrmacht. This chocolate bar, recurring in pockets and supply dumps, represented not just sustenance, but the inexhaustible output of American industry. Factories untouched by bombs, workers fueled by freedom, producing 23,358 Higgins boats alone during the war, each one a vessel of democratic resolve. The experience etched a profound shift in German perceptions. Propaganda had painted America as a mongrel nation, its people softened by luxury, incapable of the iron discipline that had carried the Blitzkrieg across Europe. Yet here, in the blood-soaked sands of Normandy, the truth revealed itself. General der Infanterie Günther Blumentritt later testified, "We had prepared to fight soldiers, we found ourselves fighting factories." The swarming landing craft backed by this material avalanche exposed the fallacy of Nazi ideology. Superiority was not born of racial purity, but from open societies harnessing collective innovation. Captured officers, interrogated in the days following, expressed astonishment at the coordination and resources, one admitting that the sight of endless waves eroded the myth of inevitable German victory. Rommel himself, returning from his wife's birthday leave, inspected the beaches and confided to aides that the invasion's success stemmed from Allied industrial might, warning Hitler that without peace, defeat was certain. By July, as Operation Cobra broke through at St. Lo, German divisions, depleted to 30% strength, faced annihilation, their commanders grappling with the realization that autocracy bred scarcity, while democracy unleashed plenty. In the weeks that followed, as prisoners of war were shipped across the Atlantic, this transformation deepened. Transported on Liberty ships, another product of American mass production, they arrived in camps where meals included white bread, fresh meat, and yes, those chocolate bars, evoking the same awe as the landing craft had on the beaches. One POW from the Africa Corps, reassigned to Normandy, wrote home of the unbelievable abundance, contrasting it with the Reich's dwindling supplies. The chocolate bar, once a battlefield curiosity, became a lingering emblem in their memories, a taste of what freedom wrought. In the quiet aftermath, as the guns fell silent and Europe rebuilt from the ashes, that dawn on Normandy's shores whispered a timeless truth. The swarming craft, born of a nation's unbound potential, proved that true strength lies not in the chains of ideology, but in the open fields of liberty, where abundance flows like chocolate from a chocolate factory line, sweet, enduring, and shared by all who embrace it.